In the world of Naruto, when you become an accomplished shinobi like Naruto Uzumaki, where your accomplishments range from defeating the various members of the Akatsuki to taking down Kaguya and Tsunade and Momoshiki, you're bound to have your fair share of admirers, but also those who feel a little bit jealous or threatened by that power. It's why for decades, various powerful shinobi have found themselves listed in bingo books in other nations and organizations, not just because they were a terrorist like someone like Sasori or Deidara, but their threat level and their accomplishments will fetch a high bounty if that person were ever to be killed. Case in point, how Chiriku and Asuma were in the black market bingo book. Well, Naruto Uzumaki in the Boruto era isn't immune to having a bounty on his head, because while the 5 major nations are at peace, not every nation in the Naruto world has adopted the goodwill and the peaceful relations that the nations who formed the Shinobi Alliance did following the 4th Ninja War. Even in Boruto's anime, back during the Car Actuation arc, Mujino revealed to Team 7 that the missions he's often dispatched on are meant to address the fighting in proxy wars in other smaller nations. The ninja world still has a ways to go, due to there still being some dregs of the older shinobi way when the world was in open conflict, which brings us to Naruto Uzumaki having the bounty that he does on his head in the Boruto era, with there being people in the Land of Stairs who wish to see the Hokage assassinated. Now, it's safe to say that you're hearing this and you're going, this has to be the dumbest thing anyone's ever tried to do since the Hidden Waterfall Village gave Kakuzu that mission to kill Hashirama, which is ultimately why he ended up becoming a rogue ninja. Well, if you're thinking that, you're absolutely correct. Most people would say there's no amount of money in existence that would make them agree to take on a mission to kill the strongest Hokage to have ever existed. But as is with our own world, in the world of Naruto, money talks, and despite the group who are behind this failing once already to assassinate Naruto, they continue to offer a price of lifetime expenses for the person who successfully kills Naruto, and their next 3 generations of children be taken care of as well. Basically 3 to 4 lifetimes worth of expenses depending on the scenario. Now the information comes to us from the Naruto Retsuden story, which takes place after the Mujina Bandits arc and the Kakashi and Sasuke Retsuden stories, which I've covered here on the channel in separate playlists, but this takes place before the Vessel arc of Boruto's manga. Previously, this group tried to kill Naruto, who had been stricken by a chakra illness that Hagoromo suffered towards the end of his days, because Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura foiled the attack by following a very clever plan laid out by Shikamaru. However, this group now has decided to bring the fight directly to Naruto's front doorstep by sending ninja tech drones to the Land of Fire into Konoha with photon lasers to try assassinating Naruto, because there are whispers abound that the 7th Hokage might not be able to use his chakra at this time, just as the Sage of 6 Paths wasn't able to use his chakra towards the end of his days. In the scene I'm going to share with you guys, Naruto has just finished looking at some of the breakthrough research that a scientist in Konoha, a woman named Amano, has begun showing him, and Naruto suddenly spots the drones armed with photon guns that have begun to crash the area. In a worry, Naruto's first instinct is to do what Naruto does best, charge headfirst into battle, but he quickly realizes that Sasuke's warning to him when they fought at the Hokage monument before Sasuke went off to Radaku was correct. Which is a side note, in the Sasuke Retsuden manga, you actually see the aftermath of their fight in the colored pages that open up the manga chapter itself. But Naruto realizes that Sasuke is indeed right, that he's in no condition for combat, being unable to even use the most basic of ninjutsu in his arsenal, let alone his trademark Rasengan. Naruto grabs Amano and proceeds to retreat, something that a hardened shinobi like Naruto, who prides himself in being able to protect others, hates having to do. But right now he realizes it isn't just his life at stake, it's also the life of this young woman with the brilliant mind and technology that, when it's perfected, could lead to a cure for Might Guy's damaged legs, something that Tsunade, even with her enhanced Hashirama cells and her own medical ninjutsu brilliance, even Tsunade was unable to fix Might Guy's leg. Allowing a woman such as this to die when Naruto knows he's the target is unacceptable, which is why we see Naruto run. With the scene and the context finally being set, it's here I'm going to begin reading the selected passages from the novel, and then I'm going to come back to you guys my thoughts, and it's here I quote, "Gazing steadily, he could make out its tip flashing red. The photon gun seized by Yanaru emits a high-powered ray, the tip of the gun flashing red before firing." This was a sentence from the report of the attempted assassination of Naruto from the Land of Stairs. A bright red ray shot out, followed by a low humming noise where the photons displaced the molecules. Naruto dodged the blast, jumped onto the bike, and tilted the bike along with his body. The second laser beam, unbent, shot straight past Naruto's ear and immediately hit the hedge of a private house. The bamboo reeds hit with such a high temperature expanded and exploded. If we're hit, we die, Naruto thought. Realizing this, Amano clinged to Naruto's shoulder. Seriously? We need to get away from here, Lord Seven. The road here is too narrow. Get onto the main street, Amano shouted. No can do. We'd involve the villagers. We need to get away from the village. Before he could finish his sentence, another laser beam extended out from the left, hitting the walls, slicing a cat, and caused explosions in the alleyway. The walls collapsed from the explosion, wreckage piling up in the center of the alleyway. The bike's front wheel climbed over the debris. Naruto extended his arms and shifted his center of gravity behind him. The front wheel lifted up. Lord Seven, if you want to get out the village, the gates are the other way, Amano said. There's a possibility that we damage the village, Naruto said, looking at the Thunder Train station and tracks. The bike that carried Naruto and Amano ran through the crowd on the platform as agonizing shrieks and explicatives were thrown about. There were 5 drones left, and only 2 of them fired photon beams. There were a few chances for them to self-destruct, but none of them did, which means another one of them might be a bomb, Naruto thought. A pulsation ran through his chest. His hands rattled and shook as they convulsed. The pain grew stronger with every second as it throbbed in his chest. His breathing grew blurry as the pain became agonizing before his eyes. It was as though his throat refused to let any air pass. Quote. So what we're seeing here is that Naruto is learning the hard way what Sasuke and Sakura told him before they left to join Kakashi in the land of Radaku. Trying to use chakra in any way, even to amp up his physical stats for even the shortest of moments, or subconsciously thinking about using chakra, results in these heart attack-like symptoms that Naruto's feeling in this very moment. Naruto's plan was to take the prototype motorcycle that runs off a chakra and drive the bike along the tracks of the Thunder Train that travels above the village, thinking that he'd be able to lure the drones out of the village, and that way if another drone's bomb timer went off, he'd be able to limit the damage done versus the explosion causing mass destruction in the village. However, in the back of Naruto's mind are the photon guns. Naruto barely dodged one on his own, but having to worry about the young woman with him and being unable to use his chakra long enough to deal with the threat became a problem, and we see what happened when Naruto did choose not to heed the warnings of Sasuke and Sakura. He almost put Amano's life at risk, and because of his actions, Naruto now has blood coming out of his mouth from the pressure that's being exerted on his heart. The person who's controlling these drones goes on to detonate 2 of the 5 drones left to blow up the pillars of the rail bridge that the Thunder Train moves on. When Naruto thinks to use chakra again, despite the pain that it's causing him, because he's in a position where Amano is about to be shot by that photon laser, Yamato steps in with wood release jutsu to protect Naruto and Amano while simultaneously using wood release to hold up the destroyed pillars and using a ton of vines to wrap themselves around the pillars to hold them in place before the debris can fall onto the ground. It's in the aftermath of this that Shikamaru begins to suspect something that we learn is actually the case during the events of the Vessel arc, or the Owl arc, depending on what you call it, which is that someone might have brainwashed Katasuke with Genjutsu to steal his technology, which we know is indeed the case because Kar did do this to Katasuke to steal data on his ninja tech as well as his other research materials. If you've read the supplemental information in the physical copies of the Boruto manga, you know that Kar under Jigen had each Kar enter with the sector assigned to them across the ninja world, where they have a network of outer members and they did work on the black market to raise funds for some of the research that Kar had Amato doing. You saw this in the Kar Actuation arc where Victor had that huge medical supply company. Even in Boruto's manga, in Boruto chapter 16, Delta says that they spent enough money on the ninja tech inside of Kawaki to buy an entire nation. It might make some of you guys wonder for a bit, given how much money that Kara has, if the money that's being offered for the assassination of Naruto, as well as the fact that the attacker is using drones, very similar to how Ao used drones that shot off lasers at Boruto in Boruto's anime. But getting back to it though, this might make you wonder, given the exorbitant amount of money, where the lifetime expenses of the assassin and their next 3 generations of their bloodline, if that money could have been traced back to Kar itself. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and check out these other Naruto Retsuden videos you see on the screen right now.